I sometimes get asked, can an action camera be used as a dash cam? Yes, it can, but it's going to need some help. I'm Don, owner and design engineer for 3BR Power Sports, and welcome to a 3BR Power Sports Tech Brief. But first, a disclaimer. I'm neither sponsored nor supported by any of the big three action camera companies. I buy all of my cameras on the retail market and then send them out to have them precision laser scanned at a cost of $700 each to get a 3D CAD model for use in my designs. There's no question that a dedicated dash cam is the lowest cost and best solution, but if you have an action camera, there's no reason you can't use it. You don't need to buy another camera. But there are some factors to consider if you're going to use your action cam as a dash cam. One is overheating, there's power on recording, loop recording, and GPS. So let's have a look at overheating. There's two primary causes of action cameras overheating: the heat generated by the camera itself and solar radiation, that is, direct sunlight. Solar radiation can be as much as 1,000 watts per square meter, which is great for generating electricity, but it sucks for electronics. Sunlight streaming through the windshield can cause any electronic device to overheat in a matter of minutes. As I mentioned earlier, there is a solution: a sun shield. To be effective, a sun shield needs two things. It needs to cover the camera on the top, sides, and front, and it needs to be colored white. And why white? Intuitively, you would think that a highly reflective surface would be best, but actually, that's not the case. To be effective, a sun shield not only needs to reflect solar radiation, but it also needs to allow the heat to be transmitted away from the camera surface, and that's called emittance. White is a really good emitter, but on the other hand, a reflective surface doesn't emit heat very well at all. If you look at the solar reflective index, which measures reflectance and admittance, you'll see that white is at the top of the list. But that's only part of what's needed to keep the camera cool. You recall that I said there are two main contributors to overheating: solar radiation and the heat generated by the camera. As far as the heat generated by the camera, a tiny USB fan is all that's needed to dissipate that heat. Okay, so much for overheating. Let's talk about power on recording. A dedicated dash cam will start and stop recording in sync with the ignition. So you turn the ignition on, the camera starts recording, turn the ignition off, and recording stops. And can an action camera do the same thing? Well, that depends on the camera. I've got three dash cams: a DJI Action 5 Pro, a GoPro Hero 13, and an Insta360 Ace Pro 2. Now, the DJI Action 5 Pro does not have a dash cam mode. That is, there's no option to start recording on power up. And while this is a serious drawback, it doesn't mean that it can't be used as a dash cam. You just have to remember to start it before driving, and more importantly, stop when the ignition is turned off so it doesn't discharge the vehicle battery. And now, hopefully, DJI will add this capability to its firmware somewhere in the future. GoPro cameras, including my Hero 13, do have the ability to start recording on power up and stop recording when you turn them off. You do need to load the GoPro Labs firmware to gain access to this capability. The Insta360, in my estimation, has the best power on recording, and it's one of three power options in the setup menu directly on the camera. Loop recording. Dedicated dash cams have loop recording as a standard feature, and all three of my cameras have that capability, even though I don't use it myself. But that said, there's quite a difference in performance. So if you intend to use loop recording, you should check your camera closely to see how it works. GPS. GPS is the critical requirement for a dash cam, in my opinion. It provides speed, time and date, acceleration, location, and other metadata that's needed for an incident report. And while all three of my dash cams can log GPS metadata, only one is practical for dash cam. Here's the breakdown. The DJI Action 5 Pro has GPS metadata, but only when used with a remote or a third-party app. The bad news is the remote is battery powered, so it's only good for shorter trips. If you're using a third-party app, it's something else that has to be turned on, to get the data you need, which is klutzy when you're trying to use it as a dash cam. Note that lacking true GPS metadata, the video itself could be used to analyze speed and position frame by frame and timeline, which is time consuming but is possible. The GoPro Hero 13 is the only one of the three cameras that has useful GPS metadata. The GPS is built into the camera, so there's nothing to do other than ensure that GPS is enabled. In addition, comparison testing done by other people show that the Hero 13 to be more accurate than either the DJI or Insta360 cameras. The Insta360 Ace Pro, like the DJI Action 5 Pro, requires the use of a remote to capture GPS metadata, so the same comments apply to both cameras. Now, there are a couple other minor considerations. Dedicated dash cams have features that are active when the vehicle is parked. Impact recording, time lapse, motion sensing. It requires the camera to be powered on all the time. To me, that's a poor trade off. I want a dash cam in case of an accident, road rage drivers, or insurance scammers, and any incident that could result in an expensive insurance settlement or worse, a lawsuit. The worst that can happen when a vehicle is parked is damage that's probably covered by insurance anyway. So, and even if a camera captures an incident, the likelihood of identifying the culprit is minimal at best. If you live in an area where parking incidents are a problem, then a dedicated dash cam is a much better solution than an action cam. So there you have it. Yes, an action camera can be used as a dash cam. There are some limitations and it'll need some help to be effective. 3BR Power Sports and X Power are registered trademarks of 3BR Power Sports LLC.